If I stay, 10:40 p.m., chapter 13. I run away. I leave Adam, Kim, and Willow in the lobby and I just start careening through the hospital. I don't realize I'm looking for a pediatric ward until I get there. I tear through the halls, past rooms with nervous 4 years old sleeping restlessly before tomorrow's tonsillectomies, past the neonatal ICU with the babies the size of fist hooked up to more tubes than I am, past the pediatric oncology unit where bowel cancer patients sleep under cheerful murals of rainbow and balloons. I'm looking for him, even though I know I won't find him. Still, I have to keep looking. I picture his head, his tight blonde curls. I love to nuzzle my face in those curls. I have done since he was a baby. I kept waiting for the day when he would swat me away, say, "You are embarrassing me," the way he does to Dad when Dad cheers too loudly at T-ball games. But so far that hadn't happened. So far I have been allowed constant access to that head of his. So far. Now there is no more so far. It's over. I picture myself nuzzling his head one last time, and I can't even imagine it without seeing myself crying, my tears turning his blonde curlicue straight. Teddy is never going to graduate from ball to baseball. He's never going to throw a mustache, never going to get into fist fight or shoot a deer or kiss a girl or fall in love or get married or father his own curly haired child. I am only 10 years older than him, but it's like I have already had so much more life. It is unfair. If one of us should be given the opportunity for more life, it should be him. I race to the hospital like a trapped wild animal. "Teddy," I call, "where are you? Come back to me." But he won't. I know it's fruitless. I give up and drag myself back to my ICU. I want to break the double doors. I want to smash a nurse's station. I want it all to go away. I want to go away. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in hospital. I don't want to be in the suspended state where I can see what's happening, where I'm aware of what I'm feeling without being able to actually feel it. I cannot scream until my throat hurts or break window with my fist until my hand bleeds or pull my hair out in clumps until the pain in my scalp overcomes the one in my heart. I am staring at myself, at the life, Mia now, lying in her hospital bed. I feel a burst of fury. If I could slap my own lifeless face, I would. Instead, I sit down in the chair and close my eyes, wishing it all away, except I can't. I can't concentrate because there's suddenly so much noise. My monitors are flipping and chirping, and two nurses are racing towards me. Her BP and pulse ox are dropping, one yells. "She's tachycardic," the other yells. "What happened?" Code blue in trauma, plays the PA. Soon the nurses are joined by a bleary eyed doctor, rubbing the sleep out of his eyes, which are ringed by deep circles. He yanks down the covers and lifts my hospital gown. I am naked from the waist down. No one notices these things here. He pulls his hand on my belly, which is swollen and hard. His eyes widen and then narrow into slits. "Tom and Richard," he said angrily, "we need to do an ultrasound." Nurse Ramirez runs to back room and then wheels out what looks like portable laptop with a long white attachment. She squirts some jelly on my stomach, and the doctor runs the attachment over my stomach. "Damn, full of fluid," he says. "Patient had surgery this afternoon. A splenectomy." Nurse Ramirez replies, "Could be missed blood vessel that wasn't cauterized," the doctor says, "or a slow leak from perforated bowel. Car accident, right?" "Yes, patient was medivacated this morning. Medivaced in this morning." The doctor flipped through my chart. "Dr. Sorensen was her surgeon. He's still on call. Page him. Get her to the OR. We need to get inside and find out what's leaking and why before she drops any further. Jesus, brain contusions, collapsed lung. This kid's a train wreck." Nurse Ramirez shoots the doctor a dirty look as if he had just insulted me. "Miss Ramirez," the grumpy nurse at the desk scolds, "you have patients of your own to deal with. Let's get this young woman intubated and transferred to the OR. That will do her more good than all dilly-dallying around." The nurses work rapidly to detach the monitors and catheters and run another tube down my throat. A pair of orderlies rush in with a groaning and heave me onto it. I'm still naked from the waist down as they hustle me out, but right before I reach the back door, Nurse Ramirez calls, "Wait," and then gently closes the hospital ground around my legs. She taps 3 times on the forehead with her fingers like it's some kind of Morse code message, and then I am gone into the maze of hallways leading towards the OR or another round of cutting. But this time I don't follow myself. This time I stay behind in the ICU. I'm starting to get it now. I mean, don't totally fully understand. It's not like I somehow commanded a blood vessel to pop open and start leaking into my stomach. It's not like I wish for another surgery, but Teddy is gone. Mom and Dad are gone. This morning I went to drive with my family, and now I'm here as alone as I've never been. I'm 17 years old. This is not how it's supposed to be. This is not how my life is supposed to turn out. In the quiet corner of ICU, I start to really think about the better things I have managed to ignore so far today. What would it be like if I stay? What would it be like if I have to wake up an orphan, to never smell dead smoke a pipe, to never stand next to mom quietly talking as we do the dishes, to never read Teddy another chapters of Harry Potter, to stay without them? I'm not sure this is a world I belong in anymore. I'm not sure that I want to wake up. I've only ever been to one funeral in my life, and it was for someone I hardly knew. I might have gone to Great Aunt Chloe's funeral after she died of acute pancreatitis, except her will was very specific about her final wishes. No traditional service, no burial in the family plot. Instead, she wanted to be cremated and have her ashes scattered in a sacred Native American ceremony somewhere in Sierra Nevada mountains. Gran was pretty annoyed by that. By Aunt Chloe in general, who Gran said was trying to call attention to how different she was, even after she was dead. Gran ended up boycotting the ash scattering as she wasn't going. There was no reason for the rest of us to. Peter Hallman, my Tom Bonner's friend, was conservatory camp. He died 2 years ago, but I didn't find out until I returned to camp and he wasn't there. Few of us had known that he had lymphoma, and that was a funny thing about conservatory camp. You go so close with the people over the summer, but it was some unwritten rule that you didn't keep in touch during the rest of the year. We were summer friends. Anyhow, we had a memorial concert at camp in Peter's honor, but it wasn't really a funeral. Carrie Gifford was a musician in town, one of the moms and dad's people. Unlike Dad and Henry, who had who as they got older and had families became less music performers than music connoisseurs. Carey stayed single and stayed faithful to the first love, playing music. He was in 3 bands and he earned his living doing the sound at a local club, an ideal setup because at least one of his bands seemed to play there every week, so he just had to hop on the stage and let someone take the controls for his set. Through sometimes you would see him jumping down in the middle of a set to adjust the monitors himself. I had known Kerry when I was little and would go to shows with mom and dad, and then I sort of re-met him. That when Adam and I got together and I started going to shows again. He was at work one night doing this sound for a Portland band called Clot. When he just keeled over the soundboard, he was dead by the time the ambulance got there. A freak brain aneurysm. Kerry's death caused an uproar in our town. He was kind of fixture around here, an outspoken guy with a big personality, this mass of wild white boys dreadlocks. And he was young, only 32. Everyone we knew was planning on going to his funerals, which was being held in the town where he grew up, in the mountains, a couple of hours' drive away. Mom and Dad were going, of course, and so was Adam. So even though I felt a little bit like an imposter crashing summer's that day, I decided to go along. Teddy stayed with Gran and Gram. We caravan to Carrie's hometown with a bunch of people, squeezing into a car with Henry and Willow, who was so pregnant the seatbelt wouldn't fit over her bump. Everyone took turns telling funny stories about Carrie. Carrie, the avowed left finger who decided to protest the Iraq war by getting a bunch of guys to dress up in drag and go down to the local army recruiting office to enlist. Carrie, the atheist Carmadigian, who hated how commercialized Christmas had become and so threw an annual merry anti-Christmas celebration at the club, where he held a contest for which Ben could play the most distorted versions of Christmas carols. Then he invited everyone to throw all their crappy presents into a big pile in the middle of the club, and contrary to local law, Kay did not burn the stuff in a bonfire. Dad told me that he donated to St. Vincent de Paul. As everyone talked about Carrie, the mood in the car was fuzzy and fun, like we are going to the circus, not a funeral. But it seemed right. It seemed true to Carrie. He was always overflowing with frantic energy. The funeral, though, was the opposite. It was horribly depressing. And not just because it was for someone who had died tragically young and for no particular reason aside from some bad arterial rut. It was held in a huge church, which seemed strange considering Carrie was an outspoken atheist. But that part I could understand. I mean, where else do you have a funeral? The problem was the service itself. It was obvious that the pastor had never ever met Carrie because he talked about him. It was generic about what a kind heart Carrie had and how, even though it was said that he was gone, he was getting his heavenly reward. And instead of having some eulogies from his bandmates or the people in the town who had spent the last 15 years with some uncle from Boise got up and talked about teaching Carrie how to ride a bike when he was 6. Like learning to ride a bike was a defining moment in Carrie's life. He concluded by assuring us that Carrie was walking with Jesus now. I could see my mom getting red when he said that, and I started to get a little worried that she might say something. We went to church sometimes, so it's not like mom had anything against religion, but Carrie totally did. And mom was ferociously protective of the people she loved so much that she took insults upon them personally. Her friends sometimes called her Mama Bear for this reason. Steam was practically blowing out of my mom's ears by the time the service ended with the rousing rendition of Bette Midler's Wind Beneath My Wings. It's a good thing Carrie's dead because a funeral would have sent him over the edge, Henry said after the church service. We had decided to skip the formal luncheon and had to go to a diner. Wind beneath my wings, Adam asked absent-mindedly, taking my hand into his and blowing on it, which is what he did to warm my perpetually cold fingers. What's wrong with Amazing Grace? It's all traditional, but doesn't make you want to puke, Henry interjected. Oh, or better yet, Three Little Birds, by Bob Marley. That would have been more Carrie-worthy song, something to toast the guy he was. That funeral wasn't about celebrating Carrie's life, Mom growled, yanking at her scarf. It was about repudiating it. It was like they kill him all over again. Dad put a calming hand over mom's clenched fist. Now come on, it was just a song. It wasn't just a song, Mom said, snatching her hand away. It was what it represented. That whole charade back there. You of all people should understand. Dad shrugged and smiled sadly. Maybe I should, but I can't be angry with his family. I imagine this funeral was their way of reclaiming their son. Please, Mom said, shaking her head. If they wanted to claim their son, why didn't they respect the life he chose to live? How come they never came to visit or supported his music? We don't know what they thought about all that, Dad replied. Let's not judge too harshly. It has to be heartbreaking to bury your child. I can't believe you are making excuses for them, Mom exclaimed. I'm not. I just think you might be reading too much into musical selection and think you are confusing being emphatic with being a pushover. That fence was barely visible, but it was enough to make Adam squeeze my hand, and Henry and Willow exchanged a look. Henry jumped in to Dad's rescue. I think it's different for you with your parents, he told Dad. I mean, they're old fashioned, but they always were into what you did. And even in your wildest way, you're always a good son and a good father, always home for Sunday dinner. Mom gulped as if Henry's statement has proven her point. We all turned to her, and our shocked expression seemed to snap her out of the rant. Clea, I am just emotional right now, she said. Dad seemed to understand that was much an apology as he was going to get it right now. He covered her hand with his, and this time she didn't snatch it away. Dad paused, hesitating before speaking. I just think the funerals are a lot like death itself. You can have your wishes, your plans, but at the end of the day, it's out of your control. No way, Henry said. No, if you make your wishes known to the right people. He turned to Willow and spoke to the bump in her belly. So listen up, family. At my funeral, no one is allowed to wear black. And for music, I want something poppy and old school like Mr. T Experience. He looked up at Willow. Go that, Mr. T Experience. I will make sure of it. Thanks. And what about you, honey? He asked her. Without missing a beat, Willow said, play P.S. You Rock My World by the Eels. And I want one of those green funerals where they bury you in the ground under a tree. So the funeral itself would be in nature and no flowers. I mean, give me all the peonies you want, and then I'm alive, but I am dead. Better to give donations on my behalf to good charity like Doctors Without Borders. You have got all the details figured out, Adam said. Is that a nurse thing? Willow shrugged. According to Kim, that means you are deep, I said. She says that the world is divided into people who imagine their own funerals and the people who don't. And the smart and artistic people naturally fall into the former category. So, which are you? Adam asked me. I would want Mozart's Requiem. I said. I turned to Mom and Dad. Don't worry, I'm not suicidal or anything. Please, Mom said, her mood lightening as she stirred her coffee. When I was growing up, I would have elaborated fantasies about my funeral. My deadbeat father and all friends who had gone wrong me would weep over my casket, which would be red naturally, and they would play James Taylor. Let me guess, Willow said. Fire and Rain. Mom nodded and she said. Willow started laughing, and soon everyone at the table was cracking up so hard the tears ran down our faces, and then we were crying, even me, who didn't know Carrie all that well, crying and laughing, laughing and crying. So what now? Adam asked Mom when we would come down. Still harbor a soft spot for Mr. Taylor? Mom stopped and playing card, which is what she does when she's thinking about something. Then she reached over to stroke Dad's cheek, a rare demonstration of PDA. In my adult scenario, my big hearted pushover husband and I did quickly and simultaneous when we are 92 years old. I'm not sure how, maybe we are on a safari in Africa, cause in the future we are rich, hey? It's my fantasy, and when we come down with some exotic sickness and go to sleep one night, feeling fine and then never wake up, and no James Taylor, Mia plays at our funeral. If that is, we can tear her away from the New York Philharmonic. That was strong. It's true, you might not get to control your funeral, but sometimes you do get to choose your death. And I can't help thinking that part of Mom wished it come true. She went with Dad, but I won't be playing at her funeral. It's possible that her funeral will also be mine. There's something comforting in that. To go down as a family, no one left behind. That said, I can't help thinking Mom would not be happy about this. In fact, Mama Bear would be absolutely furious with the ways events are unfolding today.